Welcome back to the Think Bigger Real Estate Show. I'm your host, Justin Stoddard. Today, we are going to talk about elite agent secrets, things that make some agents totally thrive while others kind of stumble around in mediocrity. Today's guest is going to give us all of the inside secrets on that. Hang with us here. We'll be right back with you. Today, I'm excited to introduce Peter Michael out of Southeast Florida. Peter, such a pleasure to have you here on the Think Bigger Real Estate Show today, and really to dive into what makes certain agents elite. We're excited to hear your journey. Thanks for being with us today.
Well, first of all, thank you for having me on, Justin. It's a pleasure, and I'm super excited to be here.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about, again, the promise that we have for this show is that we're going to give agents really the ability to unlock and uncover what makes some agents elite while others are not. We're also going to talk about the modern agent, where Peter Michael sees this industry going and how to position yourself out ahead of it to where you are able to ride the wave as opposed to being crushed by the wave. So as we get into that, before we do that, Peter, tell us your story.
Gosh, that's how far did I take it back? I'll save you guys the trouble of just focusing on real estate. But for the better part of the last 6 years, I ran a pretty big lead generation company. To make the long story super short, so we can dive right into the content, is we did an audit last year and we realized that we helped our agents close over 600 million in sales, which may seem like it's a lot of volume, but if we, queue up and we add up all the different clients from all the different states, what we've actually realized is how much volume we've missed out on, and that was 4 times that. And that's when I started really questioning my existence, the program, whether we're doing the right thing, and decided to go get licensed and use our own system myself. And within 100 days, I broke 100K in GCI, just about 5 million in volume. Now I've exceeded that. And I've proven that if you stick at something for long enough, you know your system and you actually work this as your business, and not just like a hobby or, just going to hope something is going to happen, then you can really have success as a brand new agent in a brand new market, not having put a deal together before, last really September, right? So it's kind of surreal to think about how quickly things can change.
Yeah, boy, isn't that interesting? I think sometimes some of the best perspectives on the industry come when you're outside and you can see stuff that maybe we get blinded to when we're inside the industry, right? We kind of get, what is it, that we can't see the forest through the trees, right? So you were really serving agents, helping deliver leads, and you're like, why aren't they converting more? I'm going to go figure out how to convert more. Okay, good. Exactly. Now in the process, you are also interviewing, right? You were hosting a podcast around specifically what is it that makes certain agents elite. Okay, so we're going to get into that as well. But I'm curious, what did you find that was the biggest difference between the leads, the people who you were handing the leads to, and what you guys started to do?
Okay, very good question. The biggest difference is we were actually doing the work, right? So when we had a follow-up schedule that needed to be completed in order for us to convert the leads, and let's say it was like calling them 8 times, the 8 calls were being done. The biggest disconnect that I saw from the leads coming in is the mindset around the leads and the ability to convert. Sometimes it was simply people weren't just making enough calls to even get in front of the person. And if you can't get in front of them, then you can't really build a relationship, ultimately help them, and then get the transaction to a close, right? Because there's no transaction to begin with. And once we started when we were approaching it, we approached it from a business perspective where we worked out the numbers backwards. We knew exactly what it took. So I was coaching and I was basically saying, hey, you need to do this. And then we were like, hey, we're doing it. Hey, we've done it. This is the proven formula. It was just about getting it done, right? Ultimately, at the end of the day, was doing the follow-up, doing the boring work per se that nobody really wanted to do because we were so spoiled. When we get a referral, half the relationship is built, half the trust is built, right? So the sales process and the length when it comes to converting a referral is definitely a lot shorter than when you have a brand new lead who doesn't know you, who doesn't trust you, is probably opting in to a few different, whether it's Google ads, Facebook ads, we do Facebook ads, YouTube or maybe Zillow Realtor or any other outlet, they just don't know you. They're looking at you of like, hey, I'm trying to get to my destination. You're just a little stepping stone. And if you're good enough, we'll take you along for a ride. Right. So that's really the biggest differentiator was we actually did the work. It's not nothing. It's nothing sexy.
Here. So Peter, you made a distinction here that I love. I point out in the book that I wrote called the Upstream Model that there is a difference between a lead and a referral, right? And I think you hit the hammer on the head that we totally are in agreement that a lead is someone where there is no relationship. You're really trying to make two sales at once. One sale is you want them to be sold on you, right? And number two is like to sell them on the transaction, right? Whereas when a referral comes to you, right, which is what I teach, how to scale a referral business. Now you they're already sold on you, right? The trust that the referrer had with that person got transferred to you. So you just inherited and adopted this trust that had already been established for years by another person or entity or professional, right? So now all of a sudden you only have one sale to make, which is help them find the right property, okay, or to make the right real estate move. So I agree. You said 50%. I think that's accurate, if not even potentially further, right? Like a referral versus a lead. So tell me the difference. Your service that you guys offered, is it delivering up leads or is it referrals? Talk to me about that.
So I'm definitely going to say delivering leads. Okay. But the way I think of leads is a little bit different, right? Because I don't think of a lead as just a name, phone number, email. Maybe they answer some additional questions on our survey, right? I look at it as another human being on the other side. That's an opportunity who rose their hand and said, hey, I need your help. I just don't know you. I just don't trust you yet. So I look at it more like a seed where you have to water it and you have to take care of it before a flower starts growing, right? Referral, I would say you're probably catching them once the roots are already there and it's kind of getting handed over to you where it's like, oh, you just need to water them periodically, aka get them the house and water them until they become a flower, right? Yeah. Lead is a little bit before that, where you actually have to do the planting, where you have to, get the fertile soil to actually be a fertile soil, right? Yeah. Put it in there. So I'll be the first one to tell you when we speak, it's like, you don't need more leads. You actually need more conversations. But in order for you to get the conversations, you have to do the boring work, and you can leverage it. You can automate it. There's a lot of great technology, and I know we'll talk about that in the modern agent approach, because that's exactly what we do. Where maybe calling 8 or 12 times is not your thing. Neither is mine. But I do have a CRM that does text messages, that does emails, that does voicemail drops, where it allows me to cut that curve of my required follow-up to get to that conversation a lot faster and a lot more efficient and a lot more cost effective, whether it's time or money.
Yeah. So I like what you're saying, right? That there is a difference between a lead and a referral. And what you teach when you say people need to do the work, it's to do the work to turn them from a lead to a referral. Now you're not really turning them into a referral, but you're having a conversation with them, getting them to trust you to where it almost feels like a referral, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
And see, the common misconception is when you're getting leads, no matter what service you're in, no matter who you're paying or what you're paying for, right? You have to also know the numbers and the math behind it. Not every single lead is going to turn into a deal right now, today. Maybe it's going to be 6 months, 12 months, 18 or 24 months on the road, but you have to nurture and cultivate that relationship, right? When it comes to referrals, like you were saying, Justin, that relationship is somewhat already nurtured and handed down. So it's a little bit easier. But when you are dealing with leads, you're also not trying to convert everybody. If you get 100 leads this month, you're not going to convert them all. Neither you should try to convert them all. You're looking for the diamonds in the rough. You're looking for the 3 to 5 people that will spark a conversation, get pre-approved and get going. Then you can start building a relationship with and start getting some momentum in your business, right? So I'm not trying to get every single person to buy or sell with me, as opposed to like referrals. When you get a referral, obviously they're a little bit further along in the process, or a lot of bit further along in the process. And at the same time, you probably should be converting at a very high percentage when it comes to referrals,
Yeah,
right?
I agree.
The numbers for online leads is 1 to 3%.
Hmm.
That's the average.
Hmm.
If you're batting higher than 3%, you're in a Hall of Fame, right? If you have 1 to 3% conversion on the referral side, we have to talk because you're
Yeah, you're in
probably doing
trouble.
something wrong. They need to go and read your book, listen to this podcast, or get a mentor, right?
So talk to me about your system of helping people to do that, right? Like, what does that look like? Because I know a lot of people are like, okay, I've got leads and they suck because I'm having 97 conversations that are going nowhere, right?
Yep.
Or 97
Mhm.
leads that are going nowhere. And there's an opportunity cost. That's what I always argue. It's like there's an opportunity cost of the 97 conversations that you're in that aren't going anywhere. What like could you be putting that time and effort into something else? So help me understand what you guys do to help people to quickly filter through and not spend a bunch of time on the 97 conversations that aren't going anywhere and focus on the 3 that do.
Absolutely. That's another good question. So there's different methods that you can use. I can tell you something that's good for brand new agents where they can actually learn, and I think that's a good starting point. And then I can tell you for something that's a little bit more seasoned, who has the ability or the financial resources to kind of use leverage in order to not bog up all the time. So if you get 100 leads in a month, first of all, not all of them are going to respond to you.
Yeah.
For phone calls, the average response that we're getting is between 46 to 48%. On text messages, the average response rate, we get a little bit higher, between 50 and 60%. So that right out the gate, if you have 100 leads, you can pretty much discard and not follow up with the other 40%, right?
Okay.
Like those are the numbers. Account for some wrong numbers, that's another 20%. So really, you're only missing out about 20% and the opportunity cost, right?
Mhm.
To actually follow up and nurture the leads appropriately, the easiest and the fastest, the most cost effective way is to just get a CRM that allows either email drips or campaign SMS drips type of hookup and see which one you get more responses on. I'll tell you right now that our email open rates are like 50, 60%, but our response rate to emails is like 3 to 5%.
Okay.
Our text messages are flipped pretty much. We had about anywhere, like I said, 50 to 60% response rate. And the way I look at it is I don't care which one we get. I just want a thumbs up or a thumbs down. I just need, what I call closure. We're either moving forward or we're trying to get on the phone to do a buyer's consult or we're not. And the numbers typically break down as into like 50, 50, 50. So out of 50% of people that we get a hold of, we'll get 50% over to an appointment. From that appointment, we'll get 50% into a pre-approval status. And out of those, we'll get 50% that will actually get pre-approved and are going to be ready to go and buy. And we average out between like 3 to 5 people, give or take. I would say the averages are like 1 to 3. So we let the system process a lot of that up front with simple messages that as soon as somebody opts in, speed to lead, within 60 seconds, they get a message of like, hey, Justin, saw that you opted into our Facebook ad. How many beds, how many baths are you looking for? Question mark. Something to spark the conversation, initiate a response back. As soon as we initiate a response back, first of all, we know we have the right number. Second of all, we know it's a real person on the other side that's willing to engage and converse with us. And then the goal is to get them on the phone as quickly as possible. Some of those people will drop off. Some of those people are still just people, right? So they have kids, work, life, families, whatever can happen. It's just a matter of getting consistent and following up. The way we break it down is we have 3 blocks throughout the day: morning, afternoon, typically around lunchtime, and then evening to follow up with the leads. And we just have a continuous pipeline where we can either blast text all the leads that we're working, or we can just kind of call them one by one. And that's the I'm just starting out method. I am going to grind a little bit because you either have a way to pay for it, which is monetarily, or you pay for it with time. This is the pay for it with time method. The second method is to get yourself an ISA, which stands for an inbound sales agent, which is somebody who's going to literally call those leads for you for 8 hours a day. And you don't have to worry about anything. And all you're taking is inbound calls from your rep when it comes to either booked appointments or live transfers. Live transfer is when you transfer somebody right there and then when they have them on the phone, so you can just take that phone call. or the booked appointment is, when they book at a dedicated time for you to actually speak, and those are between 15 and 30-minute consults, and the intent is very much higher. Does that kind of show a good perspective of the two different?
Really, it's right. Leverages people, systems, and tools. And at first, you are the
Absolutely.
person, right?
Yes.
It sounds like you've got some good systems, some good tools.
Mm-hmm.
And over time, as this starts to return and you get a return out of it, then you're able to invest in getting some more people to help you. I like it.
Absolutely. See, I have like one of the two biggest fears of my life was having kids, and I got over that because I have two now. And the second fear was for me to cold call. Because these are inbound leads, I don't consider them as cold calling, but I also don't want to be smiling and dialing for 6, 7, 8 hours of my day.
It's a rough life.
So the way the flow of the leads that we have is we pretty much have anywhere between 2 to 4 leads coming in every day, which is very manageable. Like I can call through 4 people because I know half of them won't pick up, which means 2 out of 4 won't pick up. And the 2 that will pick up, I'll engage in a conversation. I'll probably set them up on the MLS and a face appointment, like a face-to-face appointment within that week, or a Zoom appointment. I try to be very effective and efficient when I work internet leads is I try to get them on the Zoom because I know the moment I get in front of them, my odds of them actually taking the next step with me are a lot higher.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Once people can get face-to-face, you start to get that trust, right?
Big time.
Let's I appreciate that. I'm going to put in the comments here for anybody that's interested in learning more about what Peter has put together. Again, he was on the other side of it, right? He was on the side of I produce leads for agents, and now he's moved to where he's like, okay, this opportunity is better than I thought if I can get in and do the work. And so now he's actually a producing agent and producing at a high level. So that's helpful for anybody that wants to learn more about your system. I want to pick your brain now. I've got about 10 minutes left. I want to talk about a couple things. Number one, you've interviewed about 100 elite agents, right, through your podcast.
Yes.
And in that process, you've identified some things that make some agents stand out as like, well, it's no wonder they're elite. And I'll probably also help you to recognize, and this is why other agents are not elite, why they just keep struggling along. What are some of the key differentiators that you see that make some agents elite and other agents not?
Great. Wow. The number one thing that the moment you asked that question that stuck out to me was treating real estate as a business. And that has come up on our podcast multiple times for, high producing agents. A lot of these agents are 60, 80, 100 million in individual production plus, not even counting the teams. We had one gentleman that I think did 23 or 2,600 deals. And that was a big topic, treating your business like a business. A lot of, new agents come in and they think they're going to just come in, sweep the floor, make a great commissions, market is great, everything is great. And, they're going to make $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 per deal, which they absolutely can, right? I'm not saying that they can't. But when you treat it as a business and you have systems and processes in place where you can rinse and repeat, you can duplicate, and you can basically ensure that your clients are going to have a certain level of experience, that is something that you create for the long term. So that's a big thing that sticks out with every single agent that we speak to, whether it's literally the topic of treating your business like a business. They have, from the time that they wake up to the time that they go to sleep, they're very meticulous in how they do it, what they do, and then they show up every day. They treat it more like not necessarily like a job, but as a corporation where every single step of the process is dialed in. Now, they didn't have it dialed in right away. And your listeners, everybody listening, you don't have to have it dialed in right away. You just have to treat this like you really want it, not just as a hobby where you just go and you sell houses and, sit on the couch, eat pizza, and hopefully another referral comes in. They're very deliberate and very intentional about how they're building their business, right? The second thing that I notice is that every single one of our guests and every single high producing agent I've come in contact with, a lot of them it stays consistent. It compounds. Consistency compounds. Every single day, they have a task of certain things that build their business. They're called income producing activities. Doesn't matter what else is on their plate. Nothing interferes, nothing side rails them from doing those income producing activities, right? And depending whether you're an individual agent or you're building a team, you know what those income producing activities are, and there's no compromises when it comes to that. So if you're an individual agent, it's called prospecting. Now, prospecting can come in a variety of different forms. No matter really what you're out there doing, whether it's, cold calling, door knocking, or whatever method, Facebook, organic, paid, it doesn't matter. It's just staying consistent with it for long enough for you to have enough data to make an educated decision whether this is the right fit for you and your business, right? They're not like, I'm going to cold call for one day, not get anybody on the phone, and then all of a sudden cold calling doesn't work. Or I'm going to launch, some type of marketing, whether it's mailers, Facebook, YouTube, Google, spend $1,000 and be like, okay, it didn't work, right? It just takes time to dial in. And the third, and I think the most important, which is something that I come from, the service business as well, it's the mindset about what is it that you're actually doing and how you're servicing your client. If you put yourself in the bucket of just being an agent, that's the wrong bucket. Because first of all, we're so much more than just being an agent. Like, let's give ourselves a little bit of credit. We're putting out fires left and right. We're managing emotions. We're being therapists, right? We're doing pretty much everything. So what I'm noticing is a lot of the high producers, they also have that dialed in where whether somebody's buying or selling, it does not matter. They have a solution for every problem that comes along the way of buying or selling a house, or maybe something that's totally in a totally different category, right? So a lot of the stuff that when I speak with my clients is I'm asking them, do you have a CPA? Do you have an accountant? Do you have a financial advisor? Because I'm trying to service them above and beyond the transaction, right? I'm trying to get a customer for a lifetime. And this struck me really, really hard one day where it's like, somebody asked me, what do you think your client's worth? And I was like, it's a great question, because most people think that the client is worth literally that single transaction. I'm not even talking about the other referrals you're going to get from them. I'm talking about most people think that one transaction, that $10,000 commission, that $5,000 commission, whatever the commission is. But it's actually not, because we know an average person will move every 5 to 7 years. I think those are the numbers. And they'll move at least 3 to 5 times in their lifetime. So an average person is, the lifetime value of your client is worth well over 30, 40,000 if you start actually adding that up, right? So what I notice is a lot of high producers, they're not short-sighted. They're not focusing on the single deal and on the transaction. They're focusing on the relationship, serving the clients. And that's exactly what I adapted in my business is like, if it's not the right move and my client wants to walk away, they want to cancel the contract for whatever reason, they want to back out, I will do my best to plead the case, but ultimately it's their decision, and I'll do what's in their best interest if they don't feel comfortable, because I know long term where that's going to take me. And those are the three biggest things that now that we've done hundreds of episodes that always stick out no matter what, they always come up.
It's great stuff, Peter. Absolutely love it. I'll encourage everybody to go back and listen to that. I couldn't agree more. Those three things are essential for somebody to, again, getting out of that spot where we're just looking at, can I pay the bills? Can I just get and those that are listening to this show, right? You are listening to the Think Bigger Real Estate Show for a reason, because you know that there's greatness inside of you. Like, hands down, you know it. I know it. Everybody knows it, right? The outside world might not see it yet, but you know it inside of you that you were made for something more than where you're currently producing at, right? And you might be like the outside world. People might say like, you're killing it. And you might be saying like, not yet. I'm not where I want to be yet, right? What Peter just described, those three principles, I'd go back and revisit those, because inside of there may very well be what's holding you back. The one simple thing that might be holding you back. Peter, I want to ask you one last question as we wrap up here. And it's this: you are a big thinker. That's why you're on the show. Talk to me about what you do. Again, we got 2 minutes. Give me 2 minutes or less. What you do to continue to be a big thinker, to continue to expand your possibilities. What does that look like for you?
The biggest one is mentorship. I always like to get myself in a room where I'm the lowest guy on the food chain, because I know that I'm in the right room, first of all, because I got a lot more to learn. And if I feel that I'm at the top of the food chain, I got to check my ego back at the door and, revisit that, or change rooms. Right. So I would say big thing is, listening to podcasts like yours, constant mentorship, constantly asking questions and questioning the way things have been done for a very long time. So like when I started in real estate, I didn't just buy into like whatever my broker was telling me, whatever my team was telling me, whatever my mentors, were telling me that we're in a different market. I started questioning things. And I think, and I feel that's why I've been able to accelerate so quickly, is because I didn't have the perspective of bad times, good times. I just didn't know any better. So I just got to work, put my head down and just did it, worked in silence and let everything else kind of fall in place. So that's my biggest thing, is just like get the mentorship, keep an open mind, do the work. And if you feel like you're in the wrong room, you probably are, because subconsciously something's holding you back or holding you down.
That's great wisdom. I agree with that wholeheartedly. I am where I am and you are where you are because of the people that have poured into us. And again,
Absolutely,
for all of us, you, me included, everybody that's listening, if you're not where you want to be yet, it probably is less about you paying the time over year after year of figuring it out yourself, and go and purchase that knowledge, that experience, that expertise, and have it in a matter of 30 days, right? That's the beauty of the world in which we live, is that you can acquire somebody else's years of knowledge and experience and make it yours in a very short period of time. Peter, it's been such a pleasure to have you on. We're out of time, my friend, and I look forward to our next conversation. For those of you that, again, are wanting to know, how do I learn more about these elite agent secrets? There's a link down below. Be sure and click on that and learn more about what Peter and his team can do for you. And in the meantime, Peter, number one, thank you. And to everybody else, to all of us, go think bigger. Appreciate you helping us do that today, my friend.
Thank you.